Welcome back, everybody. Great to have you here, as always. Can't wait to get into today's show, which is all about your body's guardian gene against cancer. Literally, it's referred to as the guardian of the genome, and that is because it is a tumor suppressor protein. It is something that detects DNA damage at the cellular level before the cell can mutate. So what happens is it will begin to signal apoptosis, which is cellular destruction, if it notices that this cell is starting to act strangely, become mutated, become cancerous. And it does that by pausing cell division so that either repair can take place or the body can begin to eliminate the particular mutated cell. Why this is important is that this is actually what stops us from getting cancer in the first place. And at least 50% of people who have cancer actually have a down-regulated gene, the guardian gene called P53. Now, here's the nice thing. We now know recently how this tumor-suppressing protein P53 gets down-regulated. And I want to share with you all of those main specific steps. Some of them you may have heard of before, some of them you may be implementing now, some might be new. Here's the thing, it's not always just about us as well. We want to share this information with all of our friends, our family, and our loved ones. So let's dive right into it. So our modern-based lifestyle is one of the biggest attributes to cancer. We know people say, well, average life expectancy 100, 200 years ago was only 37. I mean, it's like, the numbers get to be ridiculous. People lived into their 80s for millennia, right? Like forever, people have lived to at least 80 something years old. Life expectancy was often lower because there was far more infant death and issues during childbirth. That's just the truth. Poor hygiene with doctors, delivery, etc. Once that started to be a thing of the past and we got rid of major disease, again, from poor hygiene, life expectancy amongst all people began to soar. So we know that cancer among people who lived in their 80s wasn't necessarily a big thing. Modern day life has led to greater amounts of cancer, so much so that 1 out of 2 men and about 1 out of 3 women will have cancer by the year 2030, or will get it within their lifetime. So here are the main issues, though, and the commonalities that begin to suppress our guardian gene, P53. Let's go over it. The first one is this: artificial light at night. This makes sense. Think about it. Hundreds of years ago, you're not sitting within electricity, right, in your house. All of these beautiful lights that allow us to pretend that it's daytime even at night. So our body is meant to be diurnal. All of the talk that you've heard before that, some people are night owls, it's simply not true. It's simply not true. So there are a small percentage of people who need less sleep. There's no doubt about it. Modern day life makes our cortisol rhythm and our HPA axis dysfunctional, where some people do feel like they get a second wind at night. They do feel like they're able to stay up later, whatever it might be. I will say this over and over, if you put someone outside in a tent for 3 weeks to 4 weeks, you have them live back in nature, they will not be sleeping during the day and they will not be staying up all night. One, they are not nocturnal. They are not a cat-based animal, a carnivore that hunts at night. That is not what humans are. We don't have night-based vision. So what we do is we sleep and stay safe in the evening, away from true apex predators that we have to be careful of, right? We wouldn't be as much of an apex predator if we didn't have weapons. Now, I'm not saying, again, like that I'm against hunting or anything like that, and that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that humans, with our bodies themselves, aren't apex predators. We're just not. We are not going to win any type of a battle or fight against, a lion, a tiger, a gorilla, primate, anything big and dangerous out in the wild. We stay safe at night. Then we get up during the day, and the true apex predators, the carnivores, they're asleep during the day. And that's essentially how nature works. But also, our cortisol is naturally meant to rise between 6 and 8 in the morning. I talked about this in the rain barrel effect. It is one of the keys to getting your energy back and removing your grogginess in the morning. So important. But when we keep those artificial lights on at night, what happens? Cortisol stays on at night. That suppresses our deep sleep and REM sleep, which also creates more inflammation, which dysregulates blood sugar as well and suppresses our natural killer cells, as well as P53. All right, that's a big one though. The next one goes right along with it. When we're indoors, we're getting artificial light. When we get out in the morning, especially before noon, what do we get? We get nice, longer rays from the sun and true blue light in the morning. And then if we watch the sunset or see the sun setting at night, we get more of the red instead of the blue. And that is a natural phase to our circadian rhythm. When our body and our eyes see that blue light in the morning from the sun, cortisol levels naturally rise. And when it sees the sunset and the reds at night, cortisol levels start to fall, melatonin begins to rise. So important. Remember that cortisol, melatonin for just a moment. All right, toxic chemicals and compounds in our environment. When I wrote the rain barrel effect, it was 77,000 man-made chemicals. And this is the World Health Organization. And we know that they're not always giving us the truth. Well, even they said there's 77,000 man-made chemicals in the United States. So pretty toxic. Right now, we're somewhere around 120,000 to 140,000. No one actually knows anymore. There are so many chemicals. And those chemicals, although generally regarded as safe in small amounts, have never been tested in conjunction with each other. Most of them have not. And at least half of those are carcinogenic, which means causing cancer. All right, and again, dysregulating P53. The next one is irregular sleep-wake cycles. If you're not going to bed within a half hour of the same time each and every night, is about 27, 28 nights out of a month. I understand nobody's perfect. Of course, I'm not either. And if you're not waking up within 30 minutes or so of the same time every morning, it does dysregulate this guardian gene. Late night eating, follow that 3-2-1 formula we talk about in Personomics, my new book. Why does it matter? 3 hours before bed, let's not put any more food in the stomach. 2 hours before bed, let's cut down on all the fluids, even herbal teas. 1 hour before bed, let's get rid of all blue light, right? Let's turn on the amber lights, put on the blue light blocking glasses, whatever you need. As I'm saying, blue light blocking glasses, constant stimulation. Being able to get away from our phones, our computers, and our screens, especially a couple hours before bed, or for just at least 12 hours, right? 7 at night to 7 in the morning. It's a great way to do it if you're able to. Great way to do it. Okay, and the next one is chronic psychological stress. So when you have unrelenting stress in your life. Now, I'm not saying that people thousands of years ago didn't have stress in their life. Of course they did. Famine, drought, war, all of these things, that without a doubt, that is stressful. But when we have our chronic debilitating stress that just is unrelenting, that starts to suppress our guardian gene as well. And the last one is this: not enough time outdoors. So we get negative ions from being outdoors, especially when our feet are touching the grass. We get the sunlight that I spoke about earlier. We get the vitamin D3 from the sun itself. And remember, nature is not something to abhor and stay away from and be afraid of. Do we want to get a sunburn or anything like that? No, but we do want to be able to get save sun, save exposure, get out there, walk, move our body, put away the phone. And this sounds a lot like doing what? Well, getting back into nature, being more human. Being more human would allow us then to get these inhuman diseases, which is cancer. Cancer is a mutation of the normal human cell. And that is because we are not living in a normal human-based environment anymore. We're living in a synthetic chemical soup of essentially our own doing. And I'm part of that as well, but that is just gradually what we're morphing into is more screens, less time outdoors, and less natural sunlight, less movement, and we need to start to get back to that. So just a lot of what I just shared with you right now is what we need to do the reverse of. But there are a few key things, and I just want to state those for you because, again, I don't like this to always be gloom and doom. I actually want this to be, oh, okay, totally get it. And now what do we need to do? Prioritize more of consistent sleep. So important. Even if you're someone who's like, you know what, I'm never going to get to bed at 10 o'clock. I get it. Pick that time. Maybe it's 11 o'clock. Maybe it's 11:30, but you're starting to get a little late because we want to get those hours before midnight, but you just do your best. Now you just pick, okay, plus or minus a half hour every night, right? So let's just say it's 11:30. That's your bedtime. All right, plus or minus is 11 p.m. or 12 a.m., right? Midnight. And so you're always within that plus or minus 30 minutes of 11:30. And so then you still have to try to get 7 to 9 hours. And ideally, it's going to be in bed for 8.5 hours so that you get 8 hours, 7.5, 8 hours of sleep. But again, you'll do your best. So that's the issue. If you don't go to bed till midnight, you really need to stay in bed till 8:30, and you might not be able to do that. And so just try to work back from when you get up. And if you can work back 8.5 hours, that'll allow you then for most people to get about 7 hours and 40 minutes to 8 hours of sleep if you're in bed for 8.5 hours. That's what it looks like in our practice working with tens of thousands of people. So give it a shot. Do your best within 30 minutes at the same time each and every night going to bed. All right. Darkness at night, cool that bedroom, and minimal blue light, if any, after sunset. So the goal in our house is we have dinner, try to have dinner around 5:30, sometimes 6. And so, but the earlier the better. That's always what we're shooting for. All right. So then after that, my goal is we're cleaning up for dinner, take the dog for a walk, get a little bit of movement, and then turning off all the lights at night. I know my wife doesn't always want to turn all the lights off, all them down, but we have a lot of salt lamps in the house now, or just even salt lamp light bulbs or amber lights. And so I just go around and put those on. So the goal is to lower the harsh LEDs and blue lights and just make sure that automatically we move over away from the blue lights more towards the red. All right, the next one is getting back out then. So if we're minimizing our blue light at night, we're maximizing natural blue light from the sun earlier in the morning. It could literally be going outside for a 10-minute walk. That's it. 10-minute walk, allowing your body to move as the sun is rising, or even an hour or two after. This does not really matter. You want to be able to get out there though and see that sunlight and breathe in some fresh air. If it's 20 degrees out, I totally understand it's a little chilly, but you want to do your best. And even in the winter, unfortunately, maybe it's gray skies. You might need to use a sunlight box or a sun lamp, one of the 10,000 lux that are going to give you a little bit of a blast of sunlight to improve cortisol, improve mood, and circadian rhythm. All right. The next one is periods of intermittent fasting. So we're trying to stop eating that 3 hours before bed, maybe 4. Some people can do a little bit more. Some people have to do a little bit less. It's based on bio-individuality, but in an ideal world, you will be stopping 3 to 4 hours before bed. That's going to be more conducive to a better heart rate variability overnight, a quicker drop in body temperature and heart rate when you get to bed. And again, all the statistics play this out as well. And you can track it for yourself on your favorite biometric-based sleep device. All right, so that's a big one. And then when you eat, when you wake up is really based on you, your weight loss goals, your metabolism, blood sugar levels, and much more. But most people do really well in our practice with about a 14-hour overnight fast from about 6 at night to 8 in the morning. That seems to work really well for most of our clients, like 80 to 90%. All right, and the next one is regular human movement. I would love you to weight train twice a week. Maybe even 3 times if you're able to, but definitely twice a week. But what we all need to do is at least 7,500 steps per day, ideally 10,000. When you look at all the healthiest people across the world, they are gardening, they're walking, they're not necessarily weight training, although weight training will keep you stronger and healthier longer. There's no doubt about that. And more fall prevention, it's definitely worth it, but we still need to get our bodies moving. Even before you think about zone 2 cardio and the Norwegian-based protocol, get the body walking, get the body moving, especially after meals for 20 minutes. That's going to be so helpful for blood sugar. Just a couple more. The next one is reducing toxins wherever you can find them. I always say this, aim for clean air first. Inside your house, get a good air filter. Second, get a good water filter. And then third, try to go for the clean 15, dirty dozen health foods or just foods every year that are sprayed with chemicals. Don't eat the dirty dozen, no matter what, just don't eat them. And then if you can't purchase all organic, purchase the clean 15 conventional based. Anyways, what I would do is I would wash that fruit, wash those veggies. You just get a nice big bowl, ceramic bowl, put in a couple tablespoons of baking soda. You could use if you use a hydrogen water machine, you could make that alkaline based water if you'd like, and just watch the chemicals and everything come off of it. So definitely recommend that. The last one is nervous system regulation and working on stress. I found over the years that not everything works the same for every individual. Some people do great with PMF. Some people do great with sitting in a sauna. Some people do great with meditation. Others do really well with walking. Some people like to go for a run. Some people sing and dance. Whatever works for you, find a little time to calm the nervous system and regulate stress as best you can. Give thanks, be grateful. All of those things are hugely, hugely important. So all of this is really about cellular intelligence, and cellular intelligence comes from how we were designed. It comes from living in one with nature. Hopefully this was helpful, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in, as always, to the Cabral Concept. All the details, all the show notes will be at stephencabral.com/3686. And of course, if this was helpful, do feel free to share it with anyone you believe it could serve. Take care.